So here I decided to tape a third part, telling a little bit of my experience when I arrived in Brazil. That was in '88. We got 80% of inflation at this time per month in Brazil. So when I got my salary, the student had to pay for the German course lecture at 1st of January, and we got the salary at 31. So the boss made 80% of our salary. So a lot of people made a lot of money without working. And then they paid every 15 days. So the loss was a little bit smaller, but still it was you go, sometimes you go in the supermarket, and young people, they cannot imagine what's inflation about. You go in the supermarket in the morning, and maybe here in Uganda you have shillings, so maybe a packet of rice costs 2,000 shillings, and then you go back in the afternoon, it's 4,000 shillings. So you can imagine what this means for people. You have to almost speculate, and sometimes you have to wait a time for buy the rice, because you cannot afford it at this price. So you have to wait that it goes down. So in this time, when I decided to start photography, it was all made with rolls. So I had to buy rolls and develop it. It was very expensive. So maybe each roll together with development was maybe $10 or stuff like this. So I remember that I had a friend. He died in November. He was a very close friend, like a brother. And he told me, because sometimes some things you pass in your life, it's like you delete them in your head because they were a little bit painful to live. So, or you don't remember because maybe you don't want to be seen as a victim, or as a poor man. He had this experience, and he had this experience. I don't want to be seen like that. But he told me that sometimes he came at my place, at my home, and he remembered that I only had some biscuits and some liquid cheese in my house, in my freezer, and the rest was chemicals. You know that at this time it was black and white photography, so it was development and to fix pictures. So it was chemical and rolls, because if you put them in the freezer, they keep more time there. So it was half a freezer was with stuff with photography, and the rest was some food. So sometimes maybe I ate a week long spaghettis, because it was cheaper than other food to buy a roll and to invest in photography. And that was an interesting time, because now if you do a mistake, there's no problem. You look at your digital camera, say, oh, it's maybe it's overexposed or it's underexposed, so you change it, and you correctly at the same time. In the past, it was not possible, because you had to, for example, maybe I make a trip to Uganda. I cannot develop pictures here, so I have to take the roll home and see what I have done. And so if for example, I do the gorilla trip, and picture are overexposed, so what I gonna do? Because I need to come back. because
and do
maybe
the same trip again.
Yeah, so you can imagine it was a lot of money. So photography was very different at this time.
Yeah.
And as you told before, the young generation is dead. Maybe it's not. It's a little bit overreacted to say it's dead, but definitely they think everything should be immediate. So if you have if you look at these trees outside, they need some time to grow.
Yeah.
They have the time. Nature takes time.
Actually, it takes between 18 years to 20 years to harvest, because this is eucalyptus, on the other end is a pine. To harvest, it is going to take you 20 years. Okay?
Yes.
But now, just tell a young man who is 25 years that you need to plant these trees and you'll harvest them in the next 20 years. He'll say no way, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, an old man who understands life,
yes,
who is 60 years, will plant these trees for 20 years.
Yes.
And trust me, he will harvest them at 80 years. So, what I'm saying, the mindset for the young generation, our generation, including me, the challenge is the mindset. We are looking at things and we think, I mean, things just fall from heaven, you know? We are daydreaming. That's what I mentioned. People are just daydreaming. They're not working the dream. You know, it's right to dream and dream big, you know? I need to own my own business. I need to do this. Yes, but you need to work for it.
Yeah, and one thing I think that's interesting, because you see people, the young generation, with the smartphones, with the things, they think everything must be immediate.
Yeah.
So, for example, I think it's healthy if you have. It was healthy if I made a picture and then I got a little bit anxious till I see the results of the picture.
Yes.
I think, and people now, they got a lot of people. They got mentally sick, mentally ill, because
the technology.
They don't have natural they're not natural anxious, because sometimes it's good to have to wait for something and to control yourself and to handle your feelings and your emotion.
It will automatically teach you something.
Yes, of course. And if you have everything immediate, you don't get any teaching out of it. If you see immediately all the results, so if something goes wrong, maybe you are overreacting.
Yes, actually what I can say is that, for example, if you talk about the smartphones now, because that's the in thing now, mostly in our generation here in Uganda, everyone wants a smartphone, whether he has a job or doesn't have a job, whether he gets the first salary, first priority is, I need to have a smartphone like James has, you know, I need to have a smartphone which is better than Mullah's phone. You know, the thing is, for example,
actually mine is iPhone 4, so it's very easy to have a better one.
You know, actually me, the first time I saw a mobile phone, my uncle had bought a mobile phone. By then, it was MTN Uganda that was introduced in Uganda. And the phone, the full package of that phone cost at least $100 as of now. It was around 350,000 by then. But that was, I looked at the phone and I started dreaming. I mean, one day will I have such a phone, you know? But my uncle had that phone, and that was in 1998.
Oh yeah.
I was a young boy. Okay? 1998.
Yes.
Now 2017, because what I want to say is, for the young people, there's always time, there's always the right time for something. Okay?
Yes.
So what we need as we persuade life is, you will need patience. In everything we do, we need patience. We have to be honest. I mean, you don't grab someone's stuff because you need to have it tomorrow. You need patience, you need honest. Because it took me time to buy my first phone. But as I speak, My uncle that I used to admire cannot even afford to have a phone that I'm having, you know? Because there's a right time for anything. But that shows you that I was patient. And I was focused. I said, yes, the right time will come.
Yes.
I'll get a job, I will work, and I will get a phone I want in life. As I speak, I can afford a nice phone.
And maybe something very interesting happens too. Maybe when you got the opportunity to buy the phone, you say, what for?
Yeah, which
I don't need it. Yes. I really don't need it. Now I have the opportunity to buy it. Maybe it's not important anymore because you think that a lot of products that come with emotions, I need it, I need to have it, and then when you have the opportunity to say, I'm happy without it, I don't need it, because a lot of products they sell today, they say you need to have this one to be admired. And then you figure out that a lot of stuff that you have, it don't give you admirance from other people. What makes you to be admired? It is who you are, how you handle things, how you treat people, how you think, how you act, and this I think a lot of young people. Because when we are young, probably it's the same for you and the same for me, there was not a lot of stuff that we were able to buy. So maybe my salary as a student, it went away to buy LPs, you know, or K7. So it's now the young people say, I don't have money to buy music in iTunes, for example.
Yeah.
But they love the artist, and the artist, he needs money, and this industry. So if you love something, give them give some of your money for them. So I think
maybe the other thing is the way we are taking life. I'll come back to our generation. Is that we live as if we are competing with people, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a competition, like you said. Just believe in yourself. Do what you're supposed to do first. Don't care about other people. You know, if I'm going to buy a phone, like you said, I'll be like, for my business, for my job, which kind of phone do I need?
Yes.
I'm not just buying it for formality because my friends have this kind of phone.
Yes.
So which phone do I need? Okay, I'm on a safari, I need a phone that can take a nice photo, I can share it quick, I can use the internet quickly, then I'll buy it for the sake of my job.
Yeah, it's interesting because you know, my camera that I use, it's actually an Nikon 300S.
Yeah.
If I want to make a poster like I have at home, 2 meters of 170 or something, or even 3 meters, it will have a good resolution. Yeah. It will be a nice, very nice picture. So what I did with the time, actually when you start, you think you have to be the last technology in camera. And now I prefer to buy an older model
than the newest models.
Yes, because it's a lot of money that goes into this camera, and in 1 year, that's an investment that in 1 year I've lost, because in 1 year maybe there's another camera that do other things, and so and the most of clients that I have, they don't need this latest model of camera.
Definitely, that's what we are talking about.
And it's interesting because a lot of people, they ask me, what kind of equipment do you use?
Yeah.
And I say to them, a finger and my eyes.
Really?
Of course. Because I have a very good lens that's a 500 Sigma.
Yeah.
And at the time it was a long long time dream, because at the time it costs about $5,000.
Yeah.
So people look sometimes at the picture and they think the smartphones take the same picture that my camera make.
Yeah.
Of course not, because if it would be possible like this, I would be an idiot to spend so much money on good equipment. So of course there is a difference. Of course you are not able to do anything with your smartphone, for example, with picture. Of course I have an advantage.
Yeah.
But it's as you said, it's for my business.
Definitely.
So, but if I have a camera to show people, or a lens to show people, look, I have this lens, but I cannot use it, or I don't have the knowledge to use it in the right way. So I think it's very stupid. So I want to be seen as somebody has something more than other people. And we have a saying in Brazil that some people are so poor, but so poor that they only have money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of people, it's like this. They really, the only thing that they can offer you is money.
It's money.
So you maybe, as you doing tourism with a lot of people, maybe you have some very rich people. You see, they think everything is about money, and if they could buy anything to take them to the gorillas and to make it seem like just a discovery, you don't think that you have to track them, to have walk and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So some people, I've met that it's so poor when you see them. They have so poor minds. They think everything they can buy and everything it's about money. And for example, I as I'm traveling a lot, sometimes I'm in a hotel, in a very nice hotel, and they have buffet in the breakfast in the morning. So you look at the plates. There is bread, a half bread in the plate. So what the fuck are you taking the food in your plate that you won't eat? Because you know, it's not only disrespect with the food and maybe with the creation. It's a disrespect. It's a disrespect with the people. They have planted the stuff to make the bread. People, they woke up 4 o'clock in the morning to make the bread, and then you come, you eat the half and throw it in the garbage. You throw people's work in the garbage. You disrespect people if you act like that.
So I think it comes back to personality. But well, if I take you back, this comes all the way from, in our tradition here, there's something we call bringing up of someone. So the way you are brought up, from the family setup, okay? This is what makes your life. Because there are things that you cannot get from school.
Yeah, the most important things you need to the education, the real education you got at home, at your place, from your father, from your mother. And in school you only got instruction. You don't got education.
So the thing is, traditional here in Africa, like Uganda, people were brought up in that proper way of living, proper manners, discipline. When you are greeting people, when you are greeting old people, when you are on a dining, eating, there are do's and don'ts, you know. But now the challenge is that we are having families when we are young, okay? For example, now if I can tell you that I have 3 kids, but how do I bring them up? What is my personality? Me, the father, you know? What's
your example?
My example to them. So that's the challenge we are having, that the younger generation is completely challenging. It's dead because the way they've been brought up is totally a mess. So you will not try to correct them at this moment, you know. So you try as much as you can, but the way they are brought up is a big challenge. I mean, they need rehabilitation, which you cannot even do. You get it? Which you cannot give them at the moment. But the challenge is we need to try and change the mindset.
Yeah, I think what I think and what I'm trying to do when I make this presentation, Animals in Africa for Children, and is especially to it was very interesting. The last presentation, most people say you cannot take attention of kids for a long time, maybe 40-50 minutes. And the last presentation, it was in a school in Rio. It took 1 hour and a half because there was so much interaction between children and they were present, you know. I try to do it in 1 hour, but there was so much interaction. So children are still interested.
Yeah.
If you stimulate them by the right way, they will be great human beings, and they will absorb your information that you give them. And one thing I think that as I'm experienced, I show them my picture. I tell them my experience. I bring them information that I lived and that I had with guides that have been out on safaris for a long time. So they know what they are talking about. It's not a school book.
Yes.
And this is one thing that's really interesting. So when you see these young children, they even if they are prisoned, they seem to be prisoned in the smartphones. If you give them attention and you take them away from the smartphones, that's what they really want in some time, and what they maybe not want at the start, but what they really need. So if sometimes I see, especially in Brazil, you see a mother with children, and the mother is on the smartphone doing something, and the children they want to talk to the mother, but she's busy, and they got anxious because they think I'm here in the world, I'm fresh in the world, I'm new in the world, I'm here in the world, and the human being that most should be interested in me is more interested in the fucking smartphone than in me. So if you are with your children, why is the smartphone more important than, what can be more important than your child?
And you know, what happens here is that most people are spending the whole day at work. You know, someone leaves for work early in the morning and then comes back in the evening. He's home and then he doesn't have time for the kids. So that's what I was saying.
And if you go in the kids' room, I don't know how it is in Uganda, but in Brazil, I've went to a room of a kid. So much garbage in the kids' room, toys and stuff, and the kids have so much things, but they don't have the parents at home because they work too much to buy all this stuff that the kids
that will make the kids occupied. For example, I have a 7-year-old girl. She has just made 7 years on 27th December, but she's so passionate with nature.
Yes.
Because this is something I introduced to her at a young age.
Yes.
Okay? When I'm going out to do bird watching, I'm going with her. When I have any tourism activity, I'll go with her. You know, this is something that I've tried to put in her at a very early stage.
Yeah, you know something, it's very interesting. When I think about my father, the first thing that comes to my mind is when we took a trip to go up in a mountain or up in a forest, make a firewood, because there in Switzerland are some places you're allowed to do it, and you have a sausage and make your sausage on the fire with a stick. That was.
And how old were you by then?
I remember my father because of this. I don't remember my father because of anything he gave me, of the toys, and he had a very tough youth, so he didn't give so much material stuff, but this kind of things we did together, that's in my mind till today.
Yeah, like I've said about my daughter, it's in 2016 she was voted as the most exceptional birder, because every November 14th there's a big birding, there's an international event. So I went out with her and with a group of people. We went to one of the forests to do bird watching, full day bird watching, and this girl was active. Everyone was, was impressed. It was like, this girl walking all the way, all the trails, enjoying, and ready to do it. So she was voted as the exceptional birder, and she got an award. So what you are saying is the same thing I was coming up with. What I've introduced to this girl, she'll never forget it.
Yes.
I'm telling you the things that I cannot forget that I saw when I was 4 years. Okay? But there's a lot that I've gotten involved in life that I can easily forget.
Yes.
You get it? For example, here in Africa, most people, most families have, our ancestral homes are in the villages, you know? You come from the village to town, but go and ask anyone. They will never forget the first day they came to Kampala, you know? So someone will never forget the day. Like,
so only to inform people, Kampala is the biggest city in Uganda. It's during the day maybe 3 million people, and that's the only big city in Uganda.
Yeah, we only have one city in Uganda, and that is Kampala. So that is the capital city of Uganda, and it is the business hub. So anything to do with business is done in Kampala, you know. So where we are now, we are in Western Uganda, and we are heading to the southwest of Uganda. That's the border to Rwanda and DR Congo, where we are going for gorilla tracking. So it is very interesting what I was saying, that if you were a kid, there are things that you never forget. For example, people who come from here, where we are heading is now, the town is called Kabale. That's the last town to Rwanda and to the forest Windy, where we are going for gorillas. So someone from Kabale, you never forget the day, the first day they came to Kampala. Trust me, even if it was at 3 years, you know, someone will never forget that. So what you tell your children at home, what examples you give them, the way you bring them up, makes up their life. The rest just adds up on that. So as we get all these challenges in everywhere in the countries where we come from, because it is not only in Africa but everywhere, because I talk to different people, because depending on the nature of my job, I meet different people from different parts of the world. That's the most interesting thing about my job. But people will tell you there are challenges everywhere in the world. Okay?
Yes.
But yes, I always say much about Uganda, but that's what I really understand. That the challenge with the youth, because when you look at the population of Uganda, is about 34 million, and at least 70% is youth. So that means there is a big challenge to look at the numbers of the youth in the country, because that's the biggest part of the country. The generation, our generation makes up the biggest population. So, but the challenge with the youth is that most of them are unemployed. People are not innovative, cannot start up business, cannot start up jobs. They're looking at being employed. Everyone, well, some people have gotten the opportunity to go to school. After university, you are waiting for a job. People have spent like 5 years after university and there's no job. But I mean, they cannot come up with anything because they're not trained to do that. You know, the way they are brought up. If someone has a you have a business. I'm doing this kind of business now, tourism. But I mean, I have kids. Well, I will take them to school because I need them to have good education. But I will train them to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, as we told is that the education, the real education you get at home, not at school. In school you got instruction, everybody got the same instructions, so it's not really something that teaches you life, how life works.
Yeah, definitely, because practically when I'm speaking to friends, I mean, sometimes I'm invited by people to speak to some students of tourism. I always tell them, tourism, well, this is a good job. You want to be a tour guide? Fine. Why? You are paid to travel. Well, but that's not all. You know, you have to be passionate. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to persist. You know, things are not easy. You know, you are not going to be here 1 year, 2 years, and I own my vehicle. Well, it's good to own a vehicle as a tour guide. It helps. It adds up your income. You know.
Yes.
If someone is going to hire you with a tourist vehicle, that makes up proper for business. But yes, you need to persist. Things are not done in a year or 2 days or a month like we think. They don't just happen just like that. I've been discussing with a lot of tour guides in the country because, well, it is only 8 years in this industry. I trained as a mechanical engineer. I did a diploma in mechanics. I know a lot with vehicles, and that's how I ended up in tourism. Okay? But I'm so passionate that the moment I joined tourism, I realized my talent is here.
Yeah, it's like photography for me.
Yes, I just took it on with all my life. But I've done things differently. And that's why people look at me and be like, you just came up here, you know, but now you're doing this. Yes, because I'm focused, I'm persistent, I'm honest. In everything we do as young people, we just have to be honest, you know.
Yes.
Be patient. The rest will follow, you know. I see people that have been tour guides for the last 20 or 15 years. Good experience, good knowledge. But yes, there are other things that they are missing, you know. They have not even made it in terms of business. Because, yes, I'm a tour guide. I love my job. And that's all. What else can you do? You know?
Yeah.
What do you think ahead? Today I'm a tour guide. What if it happens that tomorrow I cannot do a trip? You know, your life will end there. You get it? So everything we are doing, we shall have to dream big and work for the dream. Okay?
Yes.
See yourself in the next step. You get it?
Yeah, and believe what you are doing.
Yeah, believe in what you're doing. Definitely. There's no way you can move without believing in what you are doing. So the challenges we are getting has always come back to my generation. You find someone doing a job and they're thinking, this is not the right job for me. Okay? I'm going to
And
be
and a lot of people they search for salary.
Yeah.
Not for occupation. So they search for a job with a salary, and they don't give any passion in what they are doing. And I think it's a very, very sad way to live your life if you don't invest in stuff that you really like.
Yeah, it's common. And I remember when I was still doing mechanics, I bought a book on the street. I was not a good reader of books, but I know I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. I believe things happen for a reason. There's a reason why I bought that book on the street. So I buy a book called How to Get Rich. I just bought it on the street in Kampala. I took it home. It even took me like 2 weeks without reading a paragraph.
Yeah.
But then one day I wake up at home and I'm like, yo, I bought this book, but I never, you know, opened it. I read a book. And this book gave me tips, helped me to shape my life. Because it's a book showing you how entrepreneurs have made it in life, you know. So someone is like, to be successful in any job you are doing, in anything you are doing, do it and offer more than what you are paid for, you know.
Yes.
So you look at young people working in a restaurant, I mean, in anywhere you find them, in a hotel, and someone is just there as if he's not supposed to work there, you know. It's like, I'm here, but you know, I did this from the university, I'm waiting for a better job. I mean, when is the better job going to come?
Yeah.
You see?
You know, it's what I told you, a neuroscientist, a German neuroscientist, he said that, it's called Gerald Hüther. It's very interesting because he said that 100% of children, when they come into the school system, they have high potential. When they come out, it's 5%. And I believe that's not only because I think 95% of people, they are mediocre. They don't 5%, what's the difference from this 5% of children? They didn't let them broke in the system. What do they have to keep the flame inside them alive?
Burning.
And what you just told me, that I think 95% of workers, they're not really good workers. Maybe they're good soldiers. They just do what you tell them. But if they need to do a little bit more, they will say, I'm not, or they will think, I'm not paid for that.
Definitely.
And people that makes the difference is people, they don't even think if they are paid for what they or ask for. Of course, you won't. We don't include in this exploration. There are some people you need to put some limits, but we say that you don't think about I'm paid for this, I'm not paid for this. You just do it because you love to do what you're doing. And you would do it for free without salary.
Definitely.
So for example, if you could do your job, and every month come money in, you will without work, so you still would do your job because you love to do it. If I'm working with photography, if I every month I receive an amount that can pay my life, that can pay the things that I want to do, I still would work with this because I love it. And that's the difference, I think.
Yeah, like I said, that whenever I'm sharing with friends or those students where I get an opportunity to speak, mostly like twice I tell them, you know what, there are 4 P's, you know, there's passion, there's persistence, there's patience. Okay. You know, when you are not patient, you cannot move. Yes, but you are patient, yeah, you have the passion, and then you have to persist.
Yes.
You have to push. Things don't just come easy like that. You have to push. But people will give you examples. But the other guy did. I mean, in 1 or 2 years, he had a car, he had a home. I know he did this. Yes, but that is not you. You know. So what I believe is there is always the right time for something. But what I said with the jobs is that, I mean, just for example, the hotel that we had breakfast today.
Yes.
No, you could see that there are 5 people in the restaurant, and someone is struggling to serve 2 people, coming with 1 cup.
Yes.
And the rest are there standing.
Yes.
You get it? So that's what I'm saying. Today, I'm a tour guide. Okay, I'm your guide. Well,
it's only one thing, and it's interesting. Probably never in this life, one of these 5 girls, they are ready to have their own restaurant.
Definitely. You see? that's the thing I thought, that you have to be focused first of all. If today I'm a waiter in someone's restaurant, where do I see myself in the next 10 years? Will I own a restaurant? You get it?
Yes.
If the focus is there, then you can move. Because I looked at these people, one girl is struggling, bringing one cup, going back, but they're looking at her, you know, they're like, you know, she did the order, she has to do it.
Yes.
So the thing is, what I read in the other book I was talking about is that in every, if you get an opportunity to get a job, okay, you're working under hard conditions. But think about someone who doesn't have a job, you know?
Yeah.
Someone who's out there looking for a job for the last 5 years.
Yes.
He's like, if I get a job today, I'll do anything.
But you know, if he's looked for a job for 5 years, probably because he's one of the 95%.
You get it?
Because a lot of people, they complain,
Yeah.
but when they got the opportunity, they don't grab it.
They don't grab it. So the thing is, if you get an opportunity, if you have the job, offer more than what you're paid for. Because I realize the big job you want, the big connection you want, will come out from the small one you have. No one is going to see that James is a good driver when I'm seated at home.
Of course.
Okay? I need to take someone like Mula on a drive, on a game drive, on a trip for 7 days. He comes back and is like, you know, James is a good driver.
Yes.
Okay? No matter how much I'm paid for, I have to give the best service.
And it's not only a driver, it's how you make me feel in those days.
Yes.
Do I have a good time, or maybe, you know, it's small stuff that almost costs nothing.
Let me tell you something. This is a secret actually, but I mean, I'm opening up to you because you are such a wonderful person. I've never met a client like you.
Thank you.
In my first year in tourism, in my second year in tourism, 2011, I met a client from, we had a group from Japan. I was working for a different company, and I get an opportunity to drive one of the vans. We had 2 vans, and these guys were Japanese, but this was an American guy. He's called Robert. He's my very, very good friend. He was from America and he was teaching English in Japan. So we do a trip. We went to Queen Elizabeth, we went to Ginger, and this guy tells me, you know what, James, I've never seen a guide like you. And I'm like, is this guy kidding me? You know? Because that was my second year in tourism. But he told me, you know what, there's a secret in you. You can be a very good tour operator. You can do this business, because he looked at the way I was managing them. Okay? And told me, you know what, you can be more than a guide, you know, the way you are managing us. Because you know what we do as tour guides most of the time. Like I picked you from the airport.
Yes.
You know? You meet a client, pick a client from the airport, take them on a trip, 10 days, 5 days, 20 days, return them at the airport, and they go, you know. They have not seen a tour operator, but it's a tour guide. But what makes you special is the way you manage the trip. So for me, I looked at this, I'm not a tour guide, I'm a tour manager.
Yes.
You know, because you're going to manage a trip for 10 days, get it back, get it done, have a trip report, and your boss will be like, yes, and we'll wait for reviews.
And one thing, it's important that you said, that's a saying that it's when the student is ready, the master always appears. And sometimes in life I will finish the video because my battery is almost over, and it's very long already, but I think it's very, very interesting chat. I think we can, a lot of people can take out so much stuff of it, because 2 different mentalities. So the saying is, when the student is ready, the teacher or the master always shows up. And sometimes it's a little message like this Japanese guys. He told you, you can be more than this.
Yes.
And it could be that it get in 1 year and come out immediately on the other year.
Definitely.
But it stayed inside of you. And like, how you say when you, a cement,
When?
you, to plant,
Plant.
you throw
The seeds.
seed.
Sowing a seed.
The seed,
Mm.
he stayed inside of you and started to grow.
Yeah.
Because, and that is your turn and your responsibility. Maybe most of people, they have listened and it came out here and came out there.
Yes.
So I think very interesting. Only the 5% make the right seeds grow. The rest throw the right things in the garbage.
Yeah. And,
The right seeds in the garbage.
That was Robert Beatty in 2011. I still hold him as my best mentor because he looked at me and said, "You know what, man? You have potential. You can do this." And here I am. It's now MJ Safaris Uganda. The rest is history. So we are starting to extend our business now to Brazil. I'm here with Mula, is from Brazil, but we have met different people from different parts of the world. It's a challenging business. I mean, lots of marketing, but the point, the foundation of this business is honest, professional service.
And making people feel good.
Fair.
So,
If you give a professional service, someone will be happy.
I think it's a very, very interesting video to upload in YouTube, and I think a lot of people can think it a very interesting chat, a meeting between two very different mentalities and skin's color, one Zungu, one black guy. So let's make the mix and see what's gonna happen. So I hope you like this chat, guys, and see ya.